Hey, what is up, you guys? It is Chromat here, and today I'm coming at you with another video. A little bit late this week, but I'm here, right? So this video is going to be 6 ways you can make your sound more human, aka give your sound more depth. Now, why is this important? Well, having additional depth in your sounds makes your sound more visceral. It makes it sound more real. And what better way to do that is to make it sound like it's actually being played by a human and not a machine. So let's get started. So the first thing we have here is we have the canon progression, and we're going to start off with the pianos, and this is what just putting the notes individually in your DAW will look like. Notice how the velocity is the same for every single note. So and then this is what it sounds like when you apply some of these changes. Now, if you notice in the second one actually sounds a lot better because it sounds like it's being played by an actual person. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm not just going to be recording it, although recording it manually through using the record button right here and playing it on my MIDI keyboard. Although you can do that to give it a very humanizing sound, a human sound too, or a sound that has a lot of depth to it. But in this case, we are just going to be manually editing stuff. So now, what's different from this one right here, which is the one where you just enter the notes into your DAW and have it be at the same velocity, versus this one? Well, this one right here, as you can see, has varying velocities for every single note. And then if you look closely, you'll see that the notes are just slightly offset from the beat. Now, why is that important? Well, the notes as human beings, we don't play exactly on time. We don't play 100% on time the way that a machine would. So if you want your sounds to be more human, the first step you got to take is offset your notes just slightly off beat. And what this does is it mimics a person's hands playing the piano, not exactly on time. It's pretty close, but not exactly. And then step 2 would be to change your velocities, because when you play an instrument, or when you play a chord on a piano, not every note is going to be at the same velocity. So let's take a look at D major, which is the first one. Let's take a look at D major. So I'm not going to be playing the tonic note of the D major, which is D. It's not going to be the same velocity, not exactly to the A in the note, the fifth. So that's why I have these varying velocities down here, to give it a little bit more of a real feel. Okay, so that's step 1 and 2. Okay, step 1 is offsetting the notes from the beat to give it more human sound, to make it sound like a human's playing it. And step 2, the second way, step 2, would be to offset the velocities, to give it varying velocities. Okay, now over here, what is this? We have a Homer playing chords, but what I have is the volume envelope turned on. Now, what this is supposed to do is it's supposed to mimic bow movement through the use of an envelope. So this is what it sounds like with it turned off. And this is what it sounds like with the volume envelope turned on. Sounds much better because the volume envelope is actually mimicking the movement of a bow on a stringed instrument. It'll start off quiet when the person initially plays it, but quickly it'll go to being loud or louder. But yeah, the volume envelope right there is mimicking the bow movement. Now what I have over here, that's step number 3. What I have over here is number 4, is creating manual volume automation to give it movement similar to a bow movement. Now what this is right here is, this is the actual strings instrument being played. That's on mute. Let me unmute it. Now, if you can already hear, there's already a natural sounding bow movement built into the samples. It starts off quiet and it gets louder. Yeah, gets louder very quickly. Natural sounding bow movement. But I wanted to add a little bit more flavor. Sorry about that. I wanted to add a little bit more flavor to the sound. So what I did is I added my own natural bow movement technique by automating the volume. Right here. Automating the volume right here. This volume right here. Without it. And so therefore giving it some more flavor. So let's go through, let's go through techniques 1 through 4 again. 1, offsetting the individual notes by a little bit. 2, adjusting the individual velocities of every note. 3, messing with the volume envelope right here to mimic bow movement. 4, messing with the actual volume automation to give it additional bow movement. Now what is number 5? Number 5 is, I have to minimize this. Number 5 is, of course, adding reverb. Now, what adding reverb is supposed to do is supposed to make it so that your sound sounds like it's being played in an actual room, because what a reverb is the sounds bouncing off of the walls. That's what a reverb is supposed to mimic. So what I have right here is already reverb on my individual tracks, but for the sake of it, let's turn it off. Even that one too. Let's turn off the reverb. This is what it sounds like without the reverb. Let's throw on Chromat first. So it sounds okay. It sounds like an okay sound. Let's add the reverb to it. Very hard to hear the differences, but the differences are there. Let's turn that off. Lower the piano. This is what the piano sounds like. And that is with the additional reverb. Notice how it sounds like it's being played in an actual room now. Now let's throw the reverb onto this that has the volume automation built in it. It's on this one. It used to be a serum, but I changed it to an actual stringed instrument. And with the reverb on, it sounds like it's being played in a room. It sounds like it has a physical presence. So that's the whole point of reverb. And okay, so that's step number 5. Number 6 and final way to get a more humanized sound is to add vibrato. Now, what is vibrato? Well, when a person is playing a stringed instrument, sometimes if the note is sustained, meaning if the note is like a whole note or half note, meaning it's going on for a while, it's being played for a while, what the stringed instrumentalist will sometimes do will wiggle the string. Once they're holding it down, they will wiggle the string to kind of give it this kind of like vibrating pitch effect, hence the name vibrato. So what I have right here is Harmer, is another instance of Harmer doing the vibrato, which is muted on my mixer. Okay. So this is what it sounds like without vibrato. Sounds like an okay sound, but let's put the vibrato up and you'll be able to hear the vibrating pitch. Sounds pretty good. Sounds good, like it's, it has a vibrato. God, that was dumb. Anyway, so I don't want the vibrato to activate right away. I want to give it some time. I want to give the note some time before the vibrato comes in. So what I did was I right-clicked it, went to Edit Articulator, and what this is an envelope for the actual vibrato. And so once I enable it, the vibrato will follow this curve. The bottom part will have very little vibrato, and then once it moves up, it'll have all of the vibrato. And so this is what it sounds like. And with the reverb, there you go. It has a much more visceral sound to it. Okay, so once again, the six steps of getting good sounds, or getting sounds with a lot of depth and sounds that sound like they're being played by a human being. Step number 1, offsetting the individual notes from the beat, just slightly offsetting. Step number 2 is varying velocities for individual notes. Step number 3 is volume envelopes to mimic bow movement, and step number 4 would be volume automation to mimic bow movement. Step number 5 is reverb, adding reverb to your sounds to make it sound like it's being played in an actual room. And step number 6 is vibrato, because stringed instrumentalists use vibrato a lot. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like this video, be sure to like this video. Comment down below on things that you want to see more from this channel. Also follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/chromatofficial. Subscribe to me if you haven't already. I try to post out 2 videos every single week on either music production or music theory, so be sure to look forward to that. And if you guys haven't watched my previous videos on music theory and music production, please go ahead and do that. I will also be I will be referencing those videos too sometimes. And then let's see. And then, oh my god, I just drew a blank. Anyway, once again, if you guys like this video, be sure to like the video. And as always, you guys, have a nice day.